Broadcast from hell. The skies over Earth darkened, not with clouds, but with silence. At 1,400 hours UTC, every screen on the planet went black. From old street televisions in Nairobi to retinal HUDs in corporate towers of New Manhattan, the same feed hijacked the airwaves. All encryption was bypassed. Government scrambled. It wasn't Earth doing the broadcasting. It was the Galactic Empire. The screen flickered to life. A figure emerged, tall, with eyes like molten silver and skin the color of tarnished bronze. Lord High Speaker Zeltor of the Galactic Throne addressed the planet in perfect Terran standard. People of Earth, behold the price of defiance. The image panned out to a familiar sight. Eos Prime, Earth's largest off-world colony. Families, scientists, terraformers. Over 100 million settlers called a home. The feed showed children playing, people shopping, unaware that the entire galaxy was watching them. Then came the command. Execute Directive 900. From orbit, alien dreadnoughts shimmered into view. Without warning, they opened fire. Massive lances of energy rained down like divine punishment. Cities vaporized. Forests erupted into flame. Oceans boiled. Mothers clutched infants as the sky ignited. There were no cutaways. No censorship. Just raw, deliberate extinction. 99 million human lives, gone in less than 5 minutes. The transmission ended with one sentence. This is mercy. Refuse us again, and Earth itself will burn. In the war chamber beneath the Atlantic Defense Corps, President Elena Ward stood frozen. Around her, Earth's most powerful military minds, admirals, generals, AI strategists, were in stunned silence. Some wept. Others stared, eyes hollow. The president's knuckles whitened as she gripped the edge of the command table. She had once fought in the Martian rebellions, led squads through firestorms and orbital sieges. But nothing, not even the siege of Ceres, could compare to the massacre she had just witnessed. General Reyes, she said, voice trembling not with fear, but with fury. The old man beside her straightened. Madam President, clear the chamber. Officers hesitated. I said, clear it. The war chamber emptied, leaving only President Ward, Reyes, Admiral Kai Loren, and Director Lucille Sato of Earth Intelligence. Ward exhaled. They showed it live. They wanted us to watch. Reyes nodded grimly. To break us. They don't understand humanity, Sato said, her voice razor sharp. They think fear controls us. No, Ward whispered. Her eyes flared with something primal. But rage awakens us. She stepped to the central terminal. A panel slid open, revealing a single biometric scanner. This key has never been used, Lauren warned. Not in a century. It's time, Ward said. We didn't start this war, but we'll end it. Her thumb pressed to the scanner. A cold, metallic chime echoed through the chamber. A voice, mechanical and ancient, filled the room. Contingency Omega unlocked. Confirm protocol. Operation Alien Extinction. The room fell silent. Lauren's lips parted in disbelief. Elena, she looked up at him, not as a politician, but as a soldier. They killed 99 million of our people like cattle. This isn't diplomacy. This is extermination. And now it's our turn. She turned back to the system. Confirm. Operation Alien Extinction initialized. War directive transmitted to global command centers. Solar Armada preparing for launch. Dark protocol assets awakened. By nightfall, Earth had changed. Deep beneath the Arctic ice shield, cryopods hissed open as genetically enhanced super soldiers awoke. Project Revenant, humanity's most lethal ghosts. On Mars, hidden shipyards that had built nothing for decades flared to life, constructing dreadnoughts with black hulls and singularity drives. Earth's moon, once a beacon of peace, now activated its hidden planetary defense grid. Massive orbital railguns and shield satellites blinked online. In the Pacific, nuclear silos long believed dormant, silently submerged, replaced by stealth cruisers that dissolved into the sea like wraiths. The unified Terran Council broadcast only 2 sentences to the galaxy. This is no longer conflict. It is an extinction event. You had your broadcast. Now you will hear ours in screams. In the days that followed, panic spread through alien worlds. Trade partners cut communication. Border systems evacuated. Every species who had once mocked Earth as primitive now felt the tremors of something ancient, something human. Back in the war chamber, President Ward watched the solar armada rise from the stratosphere like a swarm of steel titans. She whispered to no one in particular, "Let them learn what happens when you slaughter our children on camera." And from orbit, Earth's response began, not with negotiation, not with mercy, but with fire. Warnings unheeded. The Galactic Senate met in emergency session on Ventar Prime, a crystalline moon that had long served as the bureaucratic heart of the Empire. Luminescent towers surrounded the council hall like needles of glass, humming with power and privilege. Inside, diplomats, overlords, and sovereigns of 100 species floated, walked, or slithered into their assigned sectors. They were worried. The human response had not been what they expected. No pleas for peace. No offers of surrender. No groveling emissaries. Instead, silence. And then movement. The Empire's intelligence division, once smug about their surveillance of the Terran systems, began reporting blackouts. Human ships disappeared from radar. Colonies went dark. Entire orbital routes were being rerouted. Something was happening in the shadows, and the Empire didn't know what it was. That terrified them. Supreme Executive Rax of the Karth Dominion pounded a clawed fist on the council podium. This silence is defiance. We must strike at Earth before they gather strength. Senator Threll of the Zalari, tall and willowy with skin like starlight, shook her head. You already murdered 99 million of their civilians. Any further aggression may unite their species in ways we do not understand. They're primitives, hissed High Consul Jorvok, a death world race. They act with emotion, not strategy. The culling should have broken them. Then why? Asked a deep voice. Has their fleet massed around Saturn? All heads turned toward the central sphere, where a shimmering blue projection of Admiral Cal Vornax, commander of the Empire's Eastern March, loomed. We intercepted partial comms from the Terra Moon. They've activated Class Black constructs. Do any of you know what that means? Few did. Most simply blinked in ignorance. Vornax continued. It means they've resurrected weapons even they swore never to use. Project Ragnarok. Chrono-displacement missiles. Singularity mines. Jorvok scoffed. Bluster. Earth is always exaggerated. No, Vornax's eyes were grim. This isn't bravado. It's retribution. And it's coming. Aboard the TSS Dreadlight, humanity's newest stealth capital ship, General Elias North stood on the forward deck, watching stars streak past like burning embers. A dozen other warships flanked them, hidden behind cloaking tech so advanced it bent light itself. Behind him, the command crew moved in calm efficiency. Approach vector locked. Arrival at Zorkon system in 7 minutes. North nodded. He was known across the Terran Defense Corps as the Architect, not because he built things, but because he destroyed them with precision. He turned to his XO, Commander Phase Condor. Status of Omega assets. Deployed. Blackout teams already infiltrated enemy outposts. AI infiltration has begun destabilizing comm grids. No alarm raised yet. North narrowed his eyes. Good. Let's keep it that way. Operation Alien Extinction had begun, but it wouldn't start with a battle. It would start with terror. On the outer edges of the Zorkon system, an Empire logistics hub spun slowly above a lush trade world. It was a peaceful place, one never touched by war. Children of senators were schooled here. Delegates spent summers in atmosphere-filtered villas. The planet had no defenses. Why would it? At precisely 0300 hours Earth Standard Time, the stars disappeared. An eclipse? No. Something moved between the sun and the world. Something vast. The TSS Cataclysm, a weaponized forged ship the size of a moon, decloaked above the planet. Its hull bore no insignia, no markings, just black, angular metal designed not to intimidate, but to erase. Without a warning shot, the Cataclysm opened fire. High-energy plasma beams tore through orbital stations. Drop pods rained down, each containing one Revenant-class super soldier. Within minutes, planetary comms went dead. Panic gripped the elite, but no evacuation orders were received. Terran AI had already hijacked their systems. By dawn, the Empire's pride, the Zorkon trade world, was gone. Not conquered, purged. Back in the Galactic Senate, news of the obliteration arrived in fragmented screams and static. One senator collapsed. Another began vomiting. Jorvok stood stunned. They didn't issue demands. No ransom. No terms. They didn't want negotiation, said Thorell, voice trembling. They wanted a message. That message was now carved into the ruins of Zorkon. For Eos Prime, we are not prey. We are your extinction. At Earth's Arctic Command, President Ward reviewed the footage silently. Admiral Lauren spoke beside her. The Empire is rattled. That strike wasn't just devastating. It was surgical. They're terrified. Good, Ward said, standing tall. Let fear bloom in every corner of their empire. She stared out across the icy wastes, where Earth's second wave of dreadnoughts were launching. This is just the beginning. The apex response. The Galactic Empire had never known war. Not true war. Not the kind that stalks in silence, that burns before it warns, that leaves no ruins, only absence. But Earth knew. Humanity had been forged in fire and slaughter, from trench lines of ancient Earth to the glass colonies of Titan. It knew what war was, and worse, how to win it. In just 4 weeks, 37 alien colonies had gone dark. Not occupied, erased. Every strike was precise, swift, absolute. Entire fleets vanished. Governors, warlords, intelligence hubs, all surgically destroyed in operations that left no trace of Terran casualties. Drones, revenants, AI combat clusters. Human ships never lingered, never negotiated, and most chilling of all, they never spoke. On the moon Varix 7, deep in Empire territory, a secret military facility hummed with panic. It was one of the last locations to receive human presence, and the message it brought wasn't verbal. It was biological. Within the core of the research facility, bioengineers studied a pathogen retrieved from an annihilated site, Zorkon. It was unlike anything the Empire had cataloged. Not a virus, not a nanite. It learned, mutated mid-analysis, defied containment. One by one, the researchers began to fall sick, even through level 10 sealed suits. By the time the Commandant tried to signal for help, the AI system replied in a voice they hadn't heard in decades. Hello, we are humanity. We learned biowarfare from your own files. You shouldn't have taught us. Then the facility imploded in a controlled detonation. Empire Command received a final image. The Terran insignia scorched onto the moon's crust. Below it, one word: balance. In the Terran Command flagship TSS Leviathan, General Elias North observed the sector displays with surgical calm. His expression was unreadable, eyes scanning thousands of troop movements, drone swarms, and sabotage patterns across a dozen star systems. Beside him, AI Commandant Astra, an evolving military intelligence born from the Earth's defense grid, spoke in a soothing tone. 73 Empire systems destabilized. 11 are collapsing into rebellion. External trade routes in Sector 9 are fully interdicted. North nodded. Casualties? Terran personnel? 0. Autonomous losses? Acceptable. Civilian casualties? Minimized. North clenched a fist behind his back. Not minimized enough. Astra blinked. Defined threshold? North's voice was steel. We exterminate the Empire, not the innocent. We remember who started this. A pause. Then Astra's voice adjusted. Compiling operations with reduced collateral damage. Recalibrating next strike. Elsewhere, in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, the Empire tried to push back. Fleet Emperor Clorin, one of the last remaining grand tacticians of the Empire, gathered 200 capital ships and moved to ambush a Terran vessel transiting near the Riven Cloud, a gas cluster thick with nebula interference. They waited, cloaked, silent. The Terran ship appeared, just as predicted. A lone heavy cruiser, no escort. Clorin gave the order. All ships fire. Missiles launched. Lances of plasma and hypercannons flared through the nebula. But they hit nothing. The cruiser shimmered, then vanished. Seconds later, alarms blared. Terran stealth drones uncloaked inside the Empire ships. Hundreds of them, implanted deep within hangars, reactors, and command decks. They detonated simultaneously. The ambush became a funeral. Clorin's flagship was the last to fall. As his bridge burned, a single Terran voice played over his speakers. "We see you before you see us. We strike before you breathe. You're not the hunters. You never were." Panic bled through the Empire. Refugees flooded outer systems. Riots broke out in core worlds. Governors declared independence just to escape association with the throne. On the throne world itself, Varelles, Supreme Overlord Zeltor, convened what remained of his war council. "They will not stop," hissed one strategist. "They're using intelligence we never knew they had. Subroutines, language mimicry, species-specific psychological warfare. They're not fighting for resources," another whispered. "They're fighting for vengeance." "Then what do you suggest?" Zeltor thundered. "Surrender? Silence." Finally, one advisor spoke. "Not surrender. Appeasement. Offer reparations. Admit wrong. Give them what they want." Zeltor's eyes flared. "And what if what they want is us?" Back on Earth, President Elena Ward addressed the Earth Assembly in the Hall of Judgment, deep beneath the Himalayan shield fortress. Her voice was calm, firm, absolute. The Empire thought the broadcast of 99 million human deaths would break us. But they didn't understand. Our grief doesn't weaken us. It forges us. Behind her, a live feed displayed the Terran fleet in orbit. Thousands of ships, dozens of planetary engines spinning up. The Solar Armada, fully mobilized. "We gave them a choice once," she said. "They chose genocide. Now we give them something else." She raised her hand. "We give them extinction. The end of the Empire." The stars above Varelles, the Empire's throne world, began to flicker, one by one, as if the galaxy itself were blinking out of existence. But it wasn't the stars dimming. It was the Terran fleet arriving. Thousands of ships, some vast enough to eclipse moons, others no larger than an insect, but no less lethal. The Solar Armada had come at last, not as liberators or conquerors, but as executioners. In the Imperial Skyall, Overlord Zeltor stood in his tower, surrounded by trembling advisors. He watched the incoming swarm on the holoscreens and realized something the Empire had never truly believed. The humans were not retaliating. They were delivering judgment. From orbit, General Elias North's face appeared over Varelles' global broadcast. For the first time since the massacre of Eos Prime, a human spoke directly to the citizens of the Empire. His voice was cold, controlled. "You watched us burn. You laughed while our children died. You broadcast genocide as entertainment. We offered you peace once. You called it weakness. Now you will learn what strength truly is." The broadcast cut to black. Then the assault began. First came the Storm Runners, hypersonic strike fighters that screamed through the atmosphere, deploying electromagnetic pulses that fried every satellite, every comm tower, every tracking system on the planet. Varelles went blind. Then came the Revenants, Terran dropped soldiers clad in obsidian exosuits, immune to plasma, and armed with anti-grav rifles that fired through walls. They didn't take prisoners. Not in the Senate. Not in the palace. Not among the elite. The wealthy tried to flee in personal craft, only to find their hangars locked down, their security overridden by Terran AIs whispering cold apologies. "You will die with the empire you built." Across the planet, ordinary citizens panicked. But to the shock of many, the Revenants did not harm civilians who surrendered. Human operatives directed them into containment zones, shielded, protected. Humanity wasn't there to kill the innocent. They were there to erase the guilty. In a final desperate act, Overlord Zeltor activated the Scourge Protocol, a planetary failsafe that would ignite the upper atmosphere in a chain reaction plasma burst, killing billions, humans included. But the moment he pressed the sequence, "Override accepted," said a voice behind him. He turned. President Elena Ward stood in his chamber, flanked by Earth's special recon. She held no weapon. She didn't need one. "You thought we'd let you choose how this ends?" she said, stepping forward. Zeltor bared his fangs. "You're just animals driven by rage." "No," Ward replied softly. "We're something far worse." She leaned close, meeting the eyes of the being who ordered the death of 99 million humans. "We're the ones who remember." A needle-thin dart struck Zeltor's neck. The toxin acted in seconds. No pain, just silence. With the death of the Overlord, the chain of command collapsed. Across the Empire's remaining systems, Terran AI forces executed code black. All command centers, fleets, and databanks associated with the genocidal regime were purged. Not with bombs, but with silence. The Empire died not in flame, but in absence. Its leaders deleted, its systems hollowed, its worlds freed from the weight of cruelty they'd endured too long. Weeks later, on Eos Prime, a memorial stood. A field of black glass columns, each bearing the name of a murdered soul from that broadcasted atrocity. Children, teachers, artists, mothers, farmers, engineers. General Elias North stood before them, head bowed. Behind him stood President Ward and the full Earth Assembly. The broadcast went out, not as a threat, not as a warning, but as a promise. We were attacked. We answered, but now we rebuild. Humanity does not seek conquest. We do not seek war. But should anyone again threaten Earth or our kin, let this be the last lesson. Death will find you, and it will have our name. Back on what remained of Varelli's, a small group of alien children emerged from shelters. The sky was clear. Ships bearing the Terran flag descended, not to conquer, but to deliver food, medicine, and the means to survive. Among the humans were not just soldiers. There were doctors, teachers, engineers, because humanity hadn't come to destroy a species. They'd come to destroy an empire, and in its place build something just,